Deputy President David Mabuza. So pharmaceutical company Biovac in Midrand, you've just seen in that clip, in partnership with government, is playing a very pivotal role, central role in getting COVID-19 vaccines to South Africans. I'm joined now by Biovac CEO Morena Mokoena. Good evening and thank you so much for your time. It's much appreciated. So do you have a contract with government? I know that it's a public-private partnership, but do you have a contract with government to roll out COVID vaccines? And if so, how long is that contract?
Thank you, Sally, and thank you for having me. Yes, so when government decided to prioritize healthcare workers in terms of the first cohort to receive COVID-19 vaccines, we entered into a contract with the Department of Health. We started with AstraZeneca vaccine, and we now know that that was not rolled out. But yes, we have a mandate, particularly around the healthcare worker vaccine rollout, including the trial rollout in terms of warehousing the vaccines.
And how long is the contract?
The duration is, at the moment, is within the healthcare worker cohort. So the 500,000 doses that will be handled, that are coming from Johnson & Johnson, that is where our scope is at the moment, whilst we are waiting for confirmation of what will happen with phase 2 and phase 3.
All right, so it's actually a short-term contract, just a few months, and I would imagine.
For now, it is, yes. Government is obviously contemplating, and they have a procurement system about how to deal with phase 2 and phase 3. But for now, Biovac is involved in the initial rollout.
I see. So do you have certainty that you will be definitely involved in phase 2, which we understand is due to kick in sometime late in April?
No, so ultimately the Department of Health or government would have to answer that. They are running a procurement process. We have put our hand up and shown our capabilities. So I think we will await the Department of Health decision. It's unfortunately not for Biovac to say, but the Department of Health will need to at the right time announce who they are going to give the contract.
All right, so you got the nod from Deputy President David Mabuza. He's convinced it's going to be safely handled. The signs are looking good that you'll get the contract to do the entire rollout. Are you confident, though, that you can do that? Because come April, we're not just talking a few thousand, we're talking hundreds of thousands that are going to be coming into the country. I'm not sure, exactly how big the batches are going to be. And it's a logistically more difficult process, I understand, because at the moment with Johnson & Johnson, it's coming under sort of a clinical medical ambit, which means less paperwork. But when those vaccines start coming in, it's going to be running through customs, there's going to have to be transportation, you're going to have to do safety and quality checks, and then you have, likely it seems, the entire contract to roll out those vaccines to all the sites across the country. Can you do it?
Yeah, so maybe, Sally, the best way to answer is, what does Biovac do on a routine basis? So excluding COVID, maybe we can just describe what we are, how we are involved in handling and distribution. And again, we obviously have manufacturing capability in Cape Town, but let's maybe just focus a little bit on the import.
All right, very briefly, because I'm most interested in how you're going to be able to handle a massive rollout when it comes later this year. We are talking tens of millions.
Yeah. So, Sally, on an annual basis, Biovac handles over 15 million doses of vaccines a year. And that is the average doses that we handle throughout the country. We're distributing to all 9 provinces and to any facility that the Department of Health requires that we deliver to on a routine basis. When there are campaigns, every so often, Department of Health runs campaigns, measles campaign, polio campaigns, and other campaigns. On those campaigns, we ramp up our capacity for holding and for distribution. So we do have the experience in terms of rolling out the vaccines.
Sure.
Now, as government is buying the vaccines, we are more than capable that Biovac will be able to handle. because that's what we do on a daily basis.
But ramping up, sorry just to jump in there, but ramping up from 15 million doses a year, which is a significant amount, absolutely, to the plan to hopefully vaccinate as many as 40 million people by the end of the year. Can you do that? How many trucks do you have, for example?
Yeah, so I think we should also maybe have a nuance around it. So, 40 million doses is obviously a lot. But you must understand that some of these vaccines come in multi-dose vials. So some of them will come in 10-dose vials, which means that out of one vial, you can be able to vaccinate 10 people. So the number of vials that you actually end up handling is much less than 40 million if we have to make 40 million as an example. So you're not necessarily going to handle 40 million vials. You'll be handling 40 million doses. But in some instances, you may be handling, let's say, 4 million vials. That is very, very manageable from a South African capacity in terms of warehousing. But also we must understand that that stock won't come all at once.
Sure, that's true.
And again, I know the Department of Health is working hard at procuring the vaccines, but the vaccines won't come all at once. And as quickly as they come in, I'm sure we will make sure that they quickly go out. So,
but don't you need, sorry, just to stop you there, don't you have to do at least 10 to 14 days of testing? So it won't be that quick. And surely South Africa is not in a position to say, oh, hang on, we're still testing this batch. How many doses can your storage facility hold, should it come to that? How many million doses can your storage facility hold in Midrand?
So we can hold in excess of 25 million doses.
Okay, that's good.
And that's what, so we have our Cape Town facilities that we can have as our backup. So you must understand that the first shipment will come, and yes, we will have a period of waiting from the National Control Laboratory. But as the product flows, that system will then come into its own being. So it's not that necessarily you'll be holding, that much stock, 40 million doses for that much long time. The product will be flowing, and we know the sense of urgency when it comes to COVID vaccines. Some of the mechanisms that are also in place is that the samples of the batches can come ahead, in some instances, ahead of the larger stock. So what the manufacturer sometimes does is that they send the samples ahead so that they can be tested ahead of the stock landing. In that way, the National Control Laboratory continues to test, and once the batch then lands, we can then quickly turn it around. So there are mechanisms that have been in place for many, many years that we'll certainly be utilizing should we be involved.
Okay, so that is some comfort to hear. I have to ask, if you have enough trucks, are you able to track all the batches as they roll out? Do you not need to bring in partners and contract other people to help you roll out these vaccines? How many trucks do you have?
Yeah, okay, so let me firstly talk about the risk perspective. So in any pharmaceutical warehouse, and even others do that, you always have a backup to say, what if something goes wrong in my warehouse? So we do have contracts with other logistics players to say, if for whatever reason something goes wrong in our warehouse, can we move the stock very quickly? So all of those risk mitigations are in place. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, we have a combination of refrigerator trucks where that can hold a large amount of stock. And we can also utilize subcontractors where we can do. So depending on what is needed, we can go from a fleet of about 10 right up to about a fleet of about 100 at each given time, even using subcontractors if we need to get to that point. So the system is already well oiled from our perspective that we can deploy and we can ramp up very easily, whether we do it on our own or whether we get some assistance. But ultimately, the accountability will be lying with Biovac, whether we subcontract any part of our operation.
All right, so it would also be in your ambit to make sure that those subcontracts are absolutely corruption-free. You mentioned at the beginning of our chat that you only really have a contract for the next few months. You're still waiting after the Johnson & Johnson trial period to get a full contract from government. How soon are you likely to hear?
Well, we believe that government would like to have something in place from April onwards. And so we are hoping that during the course of this month in March, that all bidders would be able to know where they stand. So, we are hopeful that it would be imminent.
Absolutely, because I'm sure there's lots of planning to do. Thank you so much for giving us so much interesting information. Really do appreciate your time. That was Biovac CEO Morena Mokoena.